Welcome to the Butterfly Tumblr Radio channel. Are you ready to start today's story? Let's get started. On Valentine's night, Jack was shocked to find his wife Lily dining with another man at the restaurant he had reserved, and that man was none other than her old flame. Chris, a tangle of emotions is about to unravel. Are you ready? Let's uncover the secrets behind the 6 trials of true love together. Jack was home for Valentine's Day, without a date or party for the first time since he was 16. He expected to spend this day with his beloved wife. He made a reservation at a small restaurant several months in advance. However, the reservation was respected as his wife was there. But today she was there with someone else, and he took her there himself. Lily was a good wife to Jack, attentive, respectful, joyful, and hard-working. These were the qualities that described this woman with a beautiful body, who for some reason married Jack. She even seemed to love Jack. Jack considered himself lucky. He met Lily at a local college at a Valentine's event. Jack was quite handsome in his usual way. He dated girls, but until Lily, he never found the one with whom he wanted to spend the rest of his life. Lily came to the event with friends. Until last Christmas, she was dating a guy she went to school with. As Jack later learned, everyone thought they were a perfect match and expected Lily and Chris to stay together through college and then get married. But Chris went to a prestigious university on the East Coast, and Lily could only attend a local college. The distance was difficult, but they kept in touch through text messages and cell phone conversations. They dated during the holidays when Chris was home spring break and most of the summer after his freshman year of college. The relationship began to cool during his sophomore year as Chris got an internship and had to study hard to maintain his grades. He stayed at the university for Thanksgiving. Moreover, Chris began to answer messages and calls less often than before. Chris did spend more time with new friends in college of both genders, and due to social commitments, school and internships, he did not have time to give Lily as much attention and effort as before. For her part, Lily became increasingly irritated and suspicious. After all, Jack was handsome, smart, and charismatic. Lily suspected that Jack was less faithful than she expected him to be. The turning point was the Christmas holidays. Chris did come home for the holidays and spend time with Lily, but a lot of his time was spent helping his parents get the house ready for Christmas and hanging out with friends. Lily was now suspicious of Chris, and her anxiety began to cloud their relationship. Lily was especially upset that Jack chose to go skiing in Vermont with a group from his school the week between Christmas and New Year's. Lily could not go because she did not know how to ski and could not afford the trip, in addition to other family responsibilities at the time. However, thanks to Twitter and Facebook, Lily was able to follow Jack's adventures during this trip. And some of the photos clearly didn't show Jack at his best. In fact, Jack maintained his honor, but his composure ended there. Lily was shown numerous photographs of Jack in situations that clearly hinted at his infidelity on the trip. Lily still loved Chris but decided it was better to suffer now than later and chose the former. Don't tell me there's nothing going on. I see the photos are just the tip of the iceberg. I won't be in a relationship with a cheater. We are done. She stopped all contact with him. Lily started dating others and met Jack at a Valentine's event. Jack was scruffier looking than Chris but had that boyish charm and tough look that attracted several of the college girls. They met in line for beer and struck up a conversation that ended with Lily giving Jack her number and agreeing to go on a date. They started dating casually. Jack quickly fell in love, but Lily didn't want to jump from one relationship to another and deliberately dated other guys. Jack understood her hesitancy, but he wanted Lily despite some disappointment and jealousy over her dating others. Jack relentlessly continued his advances. Lily became the center of his world, even if she was not always by his side. Jack's friends commented that Jack was like a little puppy infatuated with Lily. The following Valentine's Day, Jack took Lily out to a nice dinner and discreetly asked if they could be an exclusive couple. Jack was already attached to Lily, so he asked her to commit to him and stop dating others. Lily refused to promise that she would never go on a date with someone else again. Look, I like you, Jack, and I really do. But I need to be sure. Let's give it another year. Please. Lily really liked Jack and loved spending time with him. But she couldn't overcome the feeling that Chris took up too much space in her heart to leave room for Jack. Lily did respond to other guys' advances but never dated anyone more than once because none of them were on par with Jack or Chris. In addition, Lily and her friends considered Jack a smart find. Lily's mom also loved Jack very much and thought Lily had struck gold. She always invited them to any meal that could fit into their schedules, all the while hinting at how long wedding planning took. But although Jack regularly declared his love, Lily simply responded with "I know" or "me too." The following Valentine's Day, Jack expressed his love and commitment to Lily on one knee and gave her a stunning diamond ring. Lily immediately accepted it. Lily's analytical mind had long realized that Jack meets all her requirements for a husband. Jack was relatively handsome, charming, hardworking, mature, and offered financial stability through a good job at a large company that he liked. They got along well and rarely quarreled. Both Lily and Jack shared each other's interests, including sex, which they both enjoyed. What more could you ask for, Lily thought. Even if she still had feelings for Chris, Lily decided that she also loved, or at least could learn to love, Jack. She wasn't going to risk letting Jack enter the free market with his assets. Lily and Jack got married the summer after she graduated from university, with Jack already working and Lily finding a job in an entry-level position. They bought a house and started their family life. They were a beautiful couple, witty and outgoing with good friends. Although they were occasionally spotted individually, both would be shocked at the thought of moving outside the confines of their marriage. They were very supportive of each other and both felt that each would be there for the other. However, Jack's love for Lily was more passionate than Lily's feelings in return. Jack didn't show his emotions openly, but he was a little hurt that his beautiful and devoted companion never expressed her love for him as strongly or passionately as he did for her. In their third year of marriage, they attended a barbecue with some of Lily's friends from high school. As usual, the couple alternated between spending time together and spending time with each other separately at that party. After they split up, Jack noticed that he hadn't seen Lily in a long time. He eventually found her sitting on a bench on the front porch with a man Jack didn't recognize, but with whom Lily was having an intense conversation. He decided not to get involved. But after half an hour without seeing Lily, he returned to the front porch where Lily and the same man were still talking. As Jack approached, Lily noticed him and stood up. "Honey, guess who's coming to dinner? It's Chris. Chris, this is my husband Jack." As they shook hands, Lily explained that Chris had convinced his company to open an office in his hometown and he had returned to develop the office. It was so unexpected to meet Chris. So much time has passed, and so much water has passed under the bridge. Chris added, "Yes, a lot has changed, but a lot has remained the same," Jack said. "Congratulations on winning the golden ticket. Lily is one of a kind with that." Chris walked away while Jack and Lily returned to the barbecue, holding hands but not saying a word. They continued to chat and enjoy the party until people began to leave. In the car, Jack finally asked, "I think you had a lot to talk about." "Yes, you know, Chris and I were close, and we haven't parted as friends. It's time to bury the hatchet," Lily said. "So you buried it? What are you talking about?" "Oh, burying the axe." "Yeah, yes, of course," answered Lily, looking straight ahead. Jack felt the sirens starting to sound in his head. Did he say something to the effect that he hasn't been with anyone since then because he couldn't replace you? Should I be worried? Although I'm not sure I believed him. But to your other question, no, honey. You have nothing to worry about. After a pause, she added, "You are my husband and a good husband. You treat me like a queen and are always there for me. I will never leave you." Lily then placed her hand on Jack's thigh and continued, "Just take us home and to our bed, where I'll show you how committed I am to you." The evening ended with casual sex. Although Jack wondered in the silence if Lily was thinking about him or Chris as she pressed herself against him. Over the next few months, there were several occasions when Lily found herself at parties or other events where Chris was present. Sometimes when Jack was around. Sometimes when he wasn't. Lily and Chris sometimes hugged hello or goodbye and occasionally touched each other's hands while talking. But there were no signs or anything that failed the spouse test. Jack remained calm when the new year came. They were at a New Year's party. And Chris was there too at midnight. Jack and Lily kissed each other and then started talking to everyone else. And everyone was drunk hugging. And kissing on the cheeks. Lily and Chris then met and hugged before kissing on the lips. But then they separated and continued to communicate with others. Jack was a little upset and on the way home. He asked maybe I'm too sensitive. But I haven't kissed any woman on the lips. Kissing Chris on the lips while hugging is something I didn't expect. It was in public and in front of me. So it's not cheating. But it seems that this is beyond the bounds of what is permitted. Lily looked at Jack with a look of shock and annoyance on her face. I'm sorry if it hurts you, darling. But it was just a New Year's greeting between friends. Nothing more, you don't have to worry about it. Sometimes a kiss is just a kiss. Please don't make it more than it is. Lily leaned over and kissed his cheek as Jack continued to stare at the road. Arriving home. Jack and Lily started the new year with the best sex they'd had in a long time. Jack noticed that Lily was more energetic than usual. And for the first time Lily moaned, "I love you," when they made love. Jack was pleasantly surprised but then began to wonder if Lily was expressing her love to soften the impact of kissing Chris, or perhaps Lily was thinking about Chris when she said those words. Over the next few days, the kiss was forgotten because Jack didn't want such a potentially ambiguous event to overshadow his relationship with the woman he truly loved. Jack remained calm and confident in his marriage. Soon Valentine's Day arrived, which was a big event for Jack and Lily. The day they met for the first time and the day Jack proposed to her. So Jack made a reservation for a romantic dinner on Valentine's Day. This comfort was shattered later in January. That day Lily was working from home. And Jack was on the road. Instead of returning to the office after the trip, Jack decided to come home early. The garage door was open. So he entered the house where he heard Lily talking loudly on the phone to someone. Jack couldn't help but overhear Lily's side of the conversation. And it hit him like lightning. "I know. But I can't meet you for lunch or a walk or anywhere where we'll be alone. I'm sorry, but as much as I'd like to, I can't." Jack couldn't hear the other side of the conversation. But after a pause Lily continued, "You don't understand, meeting alone would be suicide. We may not plan on it. But your hand will accidentally touch mine. Or we will hug and I can't trust you either. We won't take it to ourselves that we won't move on to the next step and the next and the next. It's because we love each other that we can't date. Even if we avoid touching, there will be emotional intimacy between us. And that's cheating even if we don't go any further. And I'm not sure we could have avoided it as soon as we start." Brief pause. "It's best for both of us if we just avoid each other and avoid the pain of seeing each other so close and yet so far away." Another short pause. "Yes, I said I still love you. And always have. I'm so sorry it broke us up. But I did, and I found Jack is a good man. And he was and will always be there for me. He truly and absolutely loves me and tells me that I am his life. He trusts me completely. I could never hurt him by leaving him or cheating. And the only way I can avoid hurting him is by avoiding staying alone with you." Like it's a plague pause. "I don't care what words you use. Any private meetings with you will be dates. No matter how much you try to avoid that word. I promised myself to my husband. And I can't date you. I know I didn't say I love Jack. But it doesn't matter anymore. If I love him or love you more than him. I told you before. He's a really good man who loves me completely. He's committed to me. He doesn't deserve a cheating wife. And I could never break the promises I made to God and our families." Pause. "We will still be friends and can see each other when other people are around. You will always have a place in my heart. And I sincerely hope that you find a woman who can love you without the baggage that I would bring. But it has to end like this. I'm sorry." Jack heard Lily sobbing quietly. He quietly left the house and then returned noisily. Jack dropped his laptop bag in the office where Lily was still sitting. Lily stood up and greeted Jack with a warm kiss and hug. "I didn't hear the car pull up, my mind was somewhere else. But I'm just glad to see you home," Lily said, trying to pull away. But Jack continued to hold her in his arms. He could see a little red in her eyes. "I love you so much, my dear. I know you love me, darling, and I appreciate everything you do for me. Now let me start cooking dinner," she replied and headed to the kitchen. The rest of the evening went as usual. And after dinner, Jack and Lily settled down to watch the show. During a break between episodes, Lily turned her head to Jack and asked, "Honey, can we talk about whether I should stop taking the pills? I know you want a family. And maybe we shouldn't drag this out too much because we'll never know what can happen." She then looked into his eyes and laughed. "I really want everyone to see me with your baby and me." Then she gave him a deep kiss. Jack kissed her back because his love for her had never been stronger. He wondered, given what he'd heard earlier, whether Lily thought pregnancy was a way she could block out Chris and her feelings for him. When Jack broke the kiss, he stroked the side of Lily's face and asked, "Will you love our children the same way you love me?" Lily was shocked. "What question is that? Of course I will love our children. I don't understand what made you say that." Looking into her eyes, he said, "When I came home, I told you I loved you, remember you said?" "I know you do," and then turned to the kitchen. Lily's eyes restlessly moved from his eyes to the floor. Jack continued, "When was the last time you told me you loved me?" "Darling, other than New Year's I don't remember. Do you remember now?" Lily looked at Jack with horror, or at least with great stress. "Darling, how can you even ask such a question? You are my husband and my best friend. I love being with you and want to have your children. My greatest dream is to grow old with you until death do us part. Why are you asking these questions? Why? You just expressed some wonderful thoughts, including that you love being with me. But I still haven't heard that you really love me. Why is this so hard? Sorry, but I'm a little confused by your questions," she replied, looking into his eyes. After a short pause she continued, "Yes, darling. I love you and please never doubt our love again." But she looked down as she spoke the words, only to meet his gaze again as she continued, "Darling, we are one. And we will always be here for each other." Then she smiled, "Until you let me go." The next 2 weeks reflected the internal struggle that Lily and Jack were experiencing. Lily did everything she could to convince Jack of her love. She bought several new outfits from Victoria's Secret and became more active and perhaps even desperate in bed. But there were times when Jack saw that Lily's thoughts were somewhere else, not connected with him or her surroundings. Jack saw her loving behavior as an attempt to banish Chris from her mind and prove to herself that she truly loved Jack and not Chris. One evening while Jack was working in the yard, he had to go into the house. Then he heard Lily again in a telephone conversation, which he soon realized was with her mother. Then everything came out again. "No, Mom. I think Chris has accepted the situation. He hasn't tried to contact me since we talked. And I'm definitely not going to contact him. I know you like Jack. And rest assured that I'm committed to Jack. I just need to sort out my feelings for Chris. It's not easy, they are stubborn and unwavering. I think about Chris all the time. And sometimes it's hard to keep it under control. I don't know how I can get over my love for him. I seriously think that maybe getting pregnant with Jack will force Chris out of my head. I mentioned to Jack that we should start. I want Jack's baby, and if it frees me from Chris, so much the better. Yes, Mom. We have to be very careful to never let Jack know that I love Chris. It would kill Jack. And it would kill me because I would hurt him, sure. Keeping a secret from Jack hurts. But it only hurts me. And I would never let anyone or anything hurt Jack. Jack is about to come home, so I need to go." Jack was absolutely in love with Lily. She walked on water. But now, Jack's view of Lily has reached a new height in light of her decision to sacrifice Chris to avoid hurting him. Jack wondered what to do. Lily shouldn't be blamed for Chris entering her heart. Chris was there before I showed up. She's trying desperately to stay true to me and our marriage and trying not to hurt me. But she clearly loves Chris, not me. Lily is wonderful and she deserves to be happy. Lily cannot be completely happy with me. Her true happiness can only be with Chris. If I really love Lily, and I do, the only thing that matters is Lily's happiness. Nobody loves without pain. Jack couldn't let Lily suffer. And he couldn't live in a marriage based on pity or obligation. Anyway, if he loved Lily, he had to act. And there was only one choice the next day. Jack scheduled a meeting with a legal friend during which he asked him to prepare a divorce petition with standard terms and division of assets. Valentine's Day was fast approaching. And Jack couldn't help but think that it was right and proper to show his extreme love for Lily on this day. The week before Valentine's Day, Jack couldn't make love to Lily in his mind. She no longer belonged to him but belonged to Chris now. He considered sex with Lily to be treason. It might be crazy, but Jack wanted Lily to leave him as the pure goddess he imagined her to be. On Valentine's Day, Jack came home from work to pick Lily up for dinner. He was amazed at how sensually but tastefully Lily dressed. It was a burgundy dress with a lace top that ended above the knees, black stockings and matching 4-inch heels. Lily laughed as she turned to him, hinting that he had noticed the outline of her garter belt. "She was great, you did a great job," he said, trying to hide the jealousy he now felt. "Aren't you worth it, darling?" she answered. Then whispering insidiously in his ear she added, "But wait until you see what's underneath for you, my loving husband." Jack smiled sadly because Lily had no way of knowing that he wouldn't be the man to undress this beautiful woman tonight. And another man would reveal Lily's secret. "We'd better get going," he said as they got into the car. Lily chatted on the road, happy and looking forward to another pleasant evening with her husband, while Jack quietly reflected that this might be the last time he would take her. Jack couldn't carry on a conversation, he just listened to Lily speak that golden voice that he would never hear again. When they entered the restaurant, Jack put his arm around Lily's waist for what he thought was the last time. Lily, Valentine's Day is a celebration of love. And on this day of love, there is only one gift I can offer you that will even come close to demonstrating the love that every molecule in my body feels for you. Jack looked around the room and saw Chris sitting alone at a table for two. Jack had called Lily's mom the day before and, through many tears, convinced her to act as a mediator to get Chris here. La also saw him and covered her mouth with her hands in horror. Jack still held Lily by the waist, from which he gently guided, perhaps pushed the stunned Lily towards the table. Chris stood up slowly, perhaps still not fully aware of the event in which he had participated. Lily collapsed rather than sat on the chair. Jack took an envelope out of his pocket and placed it on the table. "Lily, the contents of this envelope will provide the happiness you deserve." Then turning to Chris, "I said I trust Lily's well-being to you. Don't let me down. I'll leave Lily's overnight bag at the entrance. Good luck with that." Jack quickly turned around before his tears became visible and walked away. On February 15th, Jack woke up without Lily by his side. After leaving the restaurant, he returned to the car and brought back Lily's overnight bag. When he walked in, he saw Chris and Lily holding hands at the table and looking like real lovers. He returned home and sat quietly in his chair. Maybe Lily will return home unexpectedly or call. But the door never opened. And there was no call from Lily. The only call came from Lily's mom, who wanted to find out what happened and then console him. She was crying about the event. Jack asked her to organize. Lily's mom praised Jack for his love for his daughter, asked him to stay in touch, and assured him that she would protect him if anyone asked why Lily left him. Jack's brain was still a mess. He already missed her. Her sweet smile, laughter, just talking. In fact, Jack seemed to desire Lily even more, which is understandable since the most intense longings are often for objects we cannot have. That's enough, his brain told him. She has gone to a better world. Accept it and move on. Jack wasn't going to be sad or cry or throw up. He was not a weakling and a man should look forward. He remembered the lines from Emily Dickinson's poem. A parting. Parting is all we know about heaven and everything we need to know about hell. Lily was in a trance when Jack directed her to Chris sitting at a table for two. Suddenly she found herself sitting on a chair. Jack handed her the envelope, wished Chris luck, turned his back and walked away completely stunned. She opened the envelope and saw the executed divorce petition with a short note: "The last gift to my beloved. Thank you for the wonderful years that I will always keep in my heart." A minute of silence passed as they looked at each other. Lily imagined herself in an episode of The Twilight Zone. She began to tremble. But Chris took her hands in his. "I've been thinking about you since you broke up with me," he said quietly. "I never dreamed that this would happen. But here we are together again and forever." Chris then explained the little bit he had learned from Lily's mother. But the bottom line was that Jack willingly gave up Lily in favor of Chris so they could pursue their dreams. Lily wanted to talk to Jack. She wanted to thank him and tell him what a wonderful person he was. Apologize for everything, collecting her thoughts. She rushed outside to catch up with Jack before he drove off. But it was too late, his car had already left. Disappointed that she didn't catch Jack in time, Lily decided she could talk to Jack later. But for now, she returned to the table to enjoy the start of her new life with the man Lily had always considered her true love. Her passion for Chris soon overtook her thoughts of Jack. Their first kiss at the table was short but intimate. They were finally together before dinner ended. Chris and Lily were discussing how long the divorce would take so they could set a date for their wedding. After dinner, Chris took Lily to his house. As soon as they crossed the threshold, they kissed passionately before Chris led Lily into his bedroom. Lily slowly undressed, dropping the dress that was intended for Jack to the floor. Lily was trembling with anticipation. It was something she wanted and perhaps needed. As she thought about her and Chris having sex, she had the satisfaction of knowing that she was right not to trust herself to be alone with Chris. But it wasn't cheating now because Jack had put her here for that purpose. The break gave Lily the opportunity to reflect on her luck. Lily did not cheat but still felt like a woman. She was still married. But tonight she was enjoying herself in bed with another man other than her husband. Even though this was her husband's action, she still felt strange another man was in her bed. It was fantastic and exactly what Lily wanted. Yes. The thought, Lily. My husband loved me so much that he sacrificed himself for my happiness. But then Lily began to worry, who is Jack with now? Or is he alone at home? And is everything okay with him? Is he suffering? Her happiness suddenly seemed less important. Lily herself couldn't understand why. But being grateful for the best sex of her life. Her thoughts were now not about Chris, where biology and brain should have been, but about Jack. Before Lily could come to any conclusion from her thoughts, Chris returned and they hugged and kissed. But no more words were spoken other than "that was great" and "you were great." There were no pillow talks about feelings and life like there would have been with Jack. Chris quickly fell asleep but Lily could not. She must have been on cloud nine. And the sex was divine. However, Lily's body was still not in place. Everything happened so quickly. 1 minute she was getting dressed up for Jack. And a few hours later, she was getting naked for Chris and enjoying great sex with him. She was ecstatic and satisfied. But while she tried to concentrate on her future with Chris, she still felt like something was wrong. Jack's actions overwhelmed Lily's thoughts. What made Jack sacrifice himself and give me the freedom to be with Chris? I dreamed about it but I never asked for it. Lily's mind was full of internal debate between two parts of her consciousness. What have you done, she thought, still trying to understand how this Valentine's Day had changed her life. You feel guilty, girl, because you're a cheater. But the other part of Lily's brain responded, I'm not guilty. And I'm not a traitor because Jack arranged this. Then she thought, how can you not be guilty if Jack only did this because he found out about your passion for Chris? You are guilty and you cheated, at least emotionally. Lily was still wondering how Jack was feeling. He shouldn't be alone on a day like this. But he will be alone because he is a good person and will not want to burden others with his sadness. Maybe he went to his brother. Oh my God. Do I have Natalie's phone number? I should call her and make sure they get in touch with Jack if he doesn't get in touch himself. Jack was such a good person that he shouldn't have been alone when he must have been suffering even worse. Lily's subconscious was remembering how she made love to Jack. Lily's brain synapses replayed memories of Jack and compared him to Chris. Lily tried to banish thoughts of Jack and think only of Chris. But it was a losing battle. Lily was clearly thinking about how much Jack loved her. Chris had given her better sex that first night than Jack had ever had. But still, Lily's brain was reproducing Jack's body heat. Lily, in her conscious state, decided that she was simply used to Jack. Chris was her life now. And she was sure that it might take one more day with Chris to forever leave Jack as a sweet but distant memory of the wonderful man who had helped her in her previous life. Chris, Lily tried to convince herself, was now her true husband. These thoughts continued to play in her mind until fatigue finally overcame her mind. And she fell asleep. When Lily woke up on Saturday morning, her first thought was that there was a stranger in her bed. Where's Jack? She remembered, of course. He's the love of my life, Chris. But as she reached for him, the rays of the morning sun met the diamond on her engagement ring and reflected off the gold of her wedding ring. Lily froze. Her thoughts about last night resurfaced. Her other brain reminded her. Remember how people asked how he could afford such an amazing ring? And then the other brain remembered Jack's answer. The price is nothing compared to the joy of seeing you in it for the rest of his life. She tried to take them off but couldn't. So she rushed to the bathroom to use soap to remove the rings from her fingers. These rings are so beautiful, just like our marriage. Lily carefully placed the rings in her purse and made a mental note that she needed to return the rings to Jack and ask him to find someone who deserved them more than her. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of Chris waking up. Jack will have to wait. Lily had to make up for the years of Chris's absence. Jack also woke up this Saturday morning without Lily by his side. Lily didn't come and didn't call. Jack grabbed the yogurt and then drove to his office, which was empty on a Saturday. Jack needed solitude. The combination of solitude in the office and monotonous research helped to avoid thoughts about his changed life. He called his brother and invited himself to dinner that evening. He had a good relationship with his brother Mother and his wife Natalie. She was smart and successful in her profession but also arrogant. Many, including her family, considered her rude and difficult to get along with. But Natalie got along with her son-in-law. And she and Lily accepted each other like sisters. Although they were not close friends. Jack told his brother and Natalie what happened. They listened to him and said all the expected phrases. Natalie challenged Jack for letting her go to Russ so quickly and not fighting for Lily if he loved her so much. What do you think is going on in Lily's head right now? Dear son-in-law, Natalie asked and then answered her own question. I imagine that she feels that you abandoned her. If I were in her place, I would be hurt. Jack understood Natalie's point, but it was done. If Lily is in pain, she will soon get over it because it was meant to end this way. She will eventually relegate me to a distant memory. Hopefully a pleasant one. They talked a little more before Jack headed home to spend another quiet night in the empty house. On Sunday morning, Jack picked up the Sunday newspaper. Lily and he always enjoyed Sunday mornings with a cup of coffee, a bagel or a muffin sitting next to each other, and doing the crossword puzzle in the newspaper. He tried to do the same alone, but the coffee seemed bitter. He didn't buy bagels or cupcakes because there was no one he could share them with. Solving a crossword puzzle was no longer fun without the jokes and touches that accompanied solving the riddles. His feelings were a mess. But there was a feeling of completeness. Lily was ready to sacrifice her happiness with Chris so as not to betray him. She gave up Chris for him, even though it was clear that she loved Chris, not him. The right thing to do would be for Jack to respond in kind. He was sure that he had done the right thing. After attending a church service, Jack went for a long run, leaving his cell phone at home. Returning, he saw a missed call and a voice message from Lily. Her message surprised him. Are you hiding from me? Pick up the phone, you coward. How could you leave your wife like that? I was a good wife. And you had no right to throw me out. I'm not your thing to be passed between you and Chris. I'm not stupid. You just want to be with someone else. Go find some. I don't care because she will never love you like I did. You are not a real man. Live your damn life. And I am no more. I never want to see your pathetic face. Do you hear me, you worthless person? Go to hell. Jack could hear Lily crying on the other end of the line before she ended the call. He sat up and stared at the phone thinking, what the hell happened? What did I do wrong? What did she mean when she said no one would love him the way Lily did? Lily never said that loves me. Jack considered calling back but decided to let the situation cool down and message her later to set up a meeting to talk. He showered and then did the laundry, making sure all of Lily's things were clean and folded and in her closet so she could pick them up when she came to get her things. The phone rang again and it was Lily's mom. Jack. Chris brought Lily here, please come. Lily really came to her mother to collect the pieces of her shattered life. After Lily got out of bed and showered on Saturday morning, she and Chris had a late breakfast and went for a walk in the local woods, which was their favorite activity that Lily also enjoyed with Jack. Chris and Lily were holding hands and talking. It was normal. But conversations didn't go as smoothly as when she was hanging out with Jack. They both seemed to feel the need to say something. Something to break the too long silences. During these pauses, Lily began to think about Jack again in her mind. Holding Chris's hand, she plotted the conversation she could have with Jack if he were here. As they passed a rock covered in lichen. To make conversation, Lily pointed to the rock and commented, I always like to see the strange things nature does. Chris looked and replied, yes, it's really beautiful. It's moss, it's not moss, it's lichen, who cares? They are all just plants. Lily didn't answer but remembered a conversation with Jack when she also pointed out a rock like this. Jack, look at that beautiful lichen on the rocks. I like those plants. Mosses are plants. Lichens are not plants but a symbiosis of fungi and algae that live together. The algae cells provide food for the fungi. And the fungi protect the algae from drying out and being damaged by the sun. Jack explained. Jack is so smart, Lily thought. It's always interesting to be with him because he knows so much. She remembered the saying, live in the present and make it so beautiful that it is worth remembering. But the present still included Jack. I need to talk to Jack, but what can I say? Will I tell him that I miss him? That I think about us making love? No. This can't be right. I'm with Chris, the man I've always loved. After the hike, the couple ended up in a pub over a couple of beers. They talked about Jack and his unilateral decision to let them have the life they wanted together. Lily opined that Jack's action was typical of him at his best. Chris's answer hit Lily like a board to the head. If Jack loved you so much, why wasn't he man enough to fight for you? Now Lily had another thought darkening her mind even more. Why did Jack give up so quickly and not fight for her? Her mind was confused as her brain jumped between conflicting thoughts. Jack loved me so much that he offered himself as a sacrifice for my happiness. And if Jack really loved me, he would never let me go. And if he didn't let me go because he loved me, that would prove that he doesn't love me because he would leave me unhappy. She wondered how Jack spends his time. What he did yesterday, what he does today. Is he suffering or is he feeling good? Lily prepared dinner. Lily noticed that Jack knew his way around the kitchen, and they often cooked together. She didn't know if Chris knew how to do anything because he never offered to help in the kitchen. After dinner they made love again. Lily wanted to confirm that she belonged to Chris. They kissed. But she still couldn't help but think about Jack. She was confused by her feelings. She should have been delighted she was supposed to be with Chris. She had always loved Chris. And it was only her stupidity that led to their separation. But then why was she so stuck on Jack and how happy and fulfilled he made her? Lily opened her eyes and stared into Chris's eyes, trying to banish images of Jack. She began to think about her future life with Chris. We will have a blissful marriage. We'll have a family. And Chris will be just as good a father as Jack was. Lily's eyes widened. Wait. Did I see Chris as a father figure just like Jack? As she continued to tell herself that she should be with Chris, Lily tried to remember all the ways that Chris was better than Jack, and why she should choose Chris. But when Lily thought about it, she couldn't find anything that made Chris better than Jack. At least not in bed. But these gave her instant gratification but ultimately less satisfaction and happiness than she experienced with Jack. Somehow, Jack kept interfering with Lily's attempts to convince herself that she loved Chris. That night, Lily dreamed not about Chris but about Jack. These were vivid dreams of Jack making love to her in their bed and then being surrounded by hundreds of people cheering for them. Lily's thoughts then went back to how Jack was feeling. Jack must have suffered, perhaps even physically, after he took her to the restaurant. She had caused that pain. And now Lily was suffering from the thought that she was the cause of Jack's pain. Reality collided with fantasy. And fantasy lost badly. However, she was with Chris. And when Chris woke up, they were having sex again. But Lily didn't feel anything anymore. She had no desire to hug Chris or wrap her legs around his torso. She was no longer making love to Chris but was just a sex object. And she felt not real. Chris went to take a shower. He didn't suggest they shower together, which Jack would have done. In fact, Jack would help her with her hair and wash her body, kissing the back of her head tenderly. Lily went down to the kitchen. She was disappointed. Why didn't Jack make coffee like he always did? Oh yeah, he's not here then. Doubling her disappointment, Lily remembered that Jack hadn't brought bagels or cupcakes. After she made coffee, she went outside but did not see the Sunday newspaper in the entrance. She was angry about not having a newspaper and, therefore, no crossword puzzle. But then Lily remembered that she didn't have Jack to do the crossword puzzle with. She loved the Sunday mornings when they would faithfully open the newspaper to the crossword puzzle page and enjoy the loving banter as they solved the puzzle together and then went to church together to give thanks for the blessings that were in their lives. Now I can't go to our church. I can't shame Jack like that. I'll have to find another church where no one knows me and no one knows what I did to my husband. More and more, the life that Lily enjoyed was crumbling around her. Sitting with her coffee, Lily could no longer avoid the inevitable conclusion. She missed Jack like she never missed Chris. She wanted to be with Jack, not Chris. She constantly thought about how better life was with Jack compared to Chris. Chris was a monstrous delusion of her own making. And the first person she lied to was herself. Lily's brain was working at its limit. Lily knew her relationship with Chris was over. It wasn't even a difficult decision. As she later explained to her mother, "If you think of my time with Chris as a movie, my mind was on fast forward, doubling over and over again. I lived my whole life in a few hours. So why was she at Chris's house and not the house she shared with Jack?" Lily's troubled mind formed the answer that Jack had rejected her. Did he love her? If he had loved her, he would not have sent her away. But he even put things in the bag for the night. And he delivered her to Chris at the restaurant where she was going to show off her outfit to Jared. Not to Chris, moreover. Chris was already there in the restaurant. So Jack and Chris made a deal between old friends to have Jack give her to Chris without her consent. They turned her into a piece of property. Will Chris have to give it back to Jack when he gets tired of it? Lily was now raging internally. Jack had no right to decide who she loved or who she wanted to be with. She was not a piece of meat to be passed between men. Chris was not her lover who honestly won Lily, but was a gift from Jack. How dare Jack make those decisions for her? All Lily could think about was that Jack would now go and make another more deserving woman happy. The idea began to form in Lily's mind that Jack had not sacrificed himself for her but rather had freed himself to find another woman who would be much more worthy of Jack than she was. But Jack belonged to her, and he had no right to be with another woman. Lily called home and tried to reach Jack's cell phone but only received voicemail. So she left a voicemail which Jack later heard. Completely surprised and completely confused. After expressing everything over the phone, Lily calmed down and wondered why she called Jack and why she was so angry with her words. Now that she spent time with Chris, Lily had accepted that Chris was an illusion. She didn't want to spend another night with him. Lily wanted to go home and be in bed with the man she had just cursed. She saw Jack as unique. His good-natured and kind sacrifice showed how special he truly is. Lily then got dressed and asked Chris to take her to her mother. Her mother provided details that led to the Valentine's Day dinner and Jack's sacrifice. Lily in turn poured out her feelings to her mother. Lily explained how Jack had now taken up residence in her head and what should have been the best weekend of young Lily's life had turned into a nightmare. Her mother had always loved Jack, so she wasn't entirely surprised by Lily's doubts. She also understood the real reason Lily called Jack. She did what mothers do, reminded her that it was Lily who made the statements that Jack overheard. Lily stated that she loved Chris and treats Jack as a responsibility. Jack, having overheard the two phone conversations, made the final sacrifice by returning her to the man Lily had clearly stated she loved and wanted to be with. Her mother encouraged Lily to accept that she now needed to fight for Jack. Lily didn't reject Chris when he was proposed to. Lily chose Chris and spent 2 nights making love to him. She needed to talk to Jack and try to save her marriage before things got worse. What makes you think you left such a terrible message for Jack? Seeing Lily hesitate, her mother continued. How did you really feel when you called Jack? Passionate messages like that don't just come out of nowhere. Lily thought about the question and then answered. Weirdly enough, I think I was angry because I was losing Jack. I had a panic attack at the thought of never being with him again. Not crazy, you were miserable and desperate. But why did you feel such agony over losing Jack? Lily stared at her mother as the realization hit her. I made a terrible mistake, didn't I? I was blind and stupid. I seriously screwed up my life. What now? Talk to him. I can't. I'm ashamed. It wasn't any wrongdoing. I wanted Chris and he gave him to me, Mom. I don't know what to do. After a moment of silence, Lily added, he loves you, Mom. Can you talk to him? Please, I'll talk to him, but only to invite him here. After that it's all up to you. Then she called Jack. When Jack arrived at Lily's mother's house, Lily was sitting on the couch looking miserable and scared. Jack took the chair opposite Lily. Lily's mother left, saying she needed to go for a walk. Several minutes passed in silence before either of them could say anything. Lily then stood up and knelt in front of Jack, spreading his knees apart as she placed her hands on his hips. Raising her head, she stared into his eyes. She rehearsed what she wanted to say, but her trembling mouth could not form the words. Jack saw her suffering but also noticed that her rings were missing. Not knowing what to say, he muttered, you look good, Lily. Maybe a little different than the last time I saw you in that beautiful dress, he said before realizing why he started with such stupidity. Yes, a little different. But none will ever see that dress or anything else I wore on Friday again. I threw away all those clothes. I bought those things for you. But then I wore them for another man. And now I can't even look at them, let alone wear any of them. Why did you do that, Lily? I knew when we left our house. Even if you didn't know that you would be wearing and taking off your outfit for Chris. I accepted it. You didn't do anything wrong. I did something bad and that's why I'm here. Lily was now trying to remember the words she had formed in her mind earlier that day. It is impossible for me to fully understand the depth of love you showed for me this Valentine's Day. But this weekend was an awakening. No, my dear husband, that I love only you. I made a terrible mistake. I thought I was in love with Chris, but it was a ghost that I began to consider real because of our history and how we broke up. I was still living in the past. I didn't love Chris but had a naive crush that turned into some kind of ideal that wasn't really true or existed. But you are reality. You were with me all this weekend. You showed me that Chris was an illusion. Your Valentine's Day gift not only cemented your commitment to me forever, but being with Chris only cleared my mind and made me realize how much you mean to me and how much I want to be with you and only you. Chris's demon is forever banished, and the thought of another man pushes me away. Please forgive me. What message did you leave me on voicemail a few hours ago? I really regret what I said. I didn't mean any of those things. Love and hate are just two sides of the same coin. I was angry because I felt like you abandoned me. That you didn't fight for me for us. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with you. And my mind twisted your sacrifice into betrayal. I began to imagine that you wanted to get rid of me to be with another woman. I became angry because in my imagination, you were abandoning me and I was hurt and jealous. I wanted you but you weren't there. And what you heard was my cry because I thought I lost you. This fear is a terrible feeling. I didn't fight because I thought I had already fought for your love and lost it. It's crazy to do the same thing expecting a different result. And I hoped I wasn't going crazy. Fighting a losing battle can only bring more pain. I gave you the last of my love. I thought I clearly heard you say that you were staying with me out of obligation. And I couldn't live like that, I know, darling. And I understand. I can't say enough about how sorry I am for what I thought and what I said. I now understand that it was all my fault and my fault alone. You heard my phone conversations. And I'm so sorry you heard that, Lily. You told Chris and your mother that you were staying with me out of duty or pity. And I couldn't live like that, I know you heard it. But in my heart, I now know that it was not my duty as a wife that stopped me from cheating or divorce, but my desire to be your loving and faithful wife. If I did not realize or say this before, darling, I love and adore you even if I'm bored. I'm sorry I said life with you is boring. It's not, it's predictable and repetitive. But it's predictable because we plan it that way. And it's repetitive because we like it. I liked our boring life. I'm ready to try anything you want if we do it together. The only thing I ask of you is that you love me the same way you showed your love this weekend. I want to be one with you. Jack put his arm around Lily's shoulders. And together they moved to sit next to each other on the couch. Jack still had some images in his head. And nothing could be worse than what he imagined. So he decided to face his worst ideas and hopefully the reality would be better than his imagination. It's really not a big deal. But did you use a condom with Chris, he asked, hoping that perhaps Chris and Lily weren't trusting enough of each other. Lily looked down before raising her head again. It was meant to be with him forever. I'm sorry for the extra pain it brings. But I have to be honest with you, the answer is no. There was no condom. Lily looked down, afraid to look up and see the pain her honesty must have caused. Was it good? Lily began to sob. Why are you asking this? I'm already suffering. And I don't want to hurt you. It will help if I know and don't imagine anything. We need to work things out to complete this. I don't know why you need this torture. But if you must know and I must tell the truth. It was very good then. Sensing that the truth was hurting Jack, Lily added. But it didn't go better than with you, honey. I promise you that by the end. I was thinking about you and how I held you tight. The best sex is just a bitter memory. It was good at the time but it didn't stay with me. You are my husband and we make love. It's mature and real. And it stays with me for days afterward. My memory about Chris isn't sex but the painful feeling that I betrayed the only person I love. Being with Chris was exciting and enjoyable. But ultimately it was a disappointment. I never want to experience the emptiness and pain that was my time again without you. How did your desire for Chris suddenly turn into such disgust? I was fascinated by Chris. We had great times. I really loved him even after we broke up. Because I didn't think I could trust him. But now I see that it was young love where only passion matters and excitement. We are older and wiser now. I need and want more from life. And Chris couldn't give it to me but you can. How can you be sure that I am the right person? How can you now say that you love me when you could never say it before? My wonderful husband, I've apologized several times. And I'll say it again. I'm so sorry for what I said and didn't say. You were a wonderful loving boyfriend and husband. I was foolish to believe I was still in love with Chris. And I think that created a boundary around my feelings. Chris is now gone. And I am free to see life as it is and without the restrictions of false love. What I see is that I always loved you. Even if I couldn't. What matters most is that when I thought I lost you this weekend, it hurt. And it hurt even more to think about how I hurt you. I never want to hurt myself or you again. I know that true love is a deep longing to be with someone and no one else, and the need to give you everything I have. These are the feelings that I have for you forever. Who knows, dear, what may happen? Death is the only certainty. We cannot know our future, we must play the odds. And now the chances of a wonderful life together with our children and then grandchildren are great. The chances are that anything that would interfere with this is currently virtually non-existent. I guess we learned a lot. Jack then smiled and added, if this weekend ended up bringing you closer to me, then maybe it was worth the gamble. Lily smiled. Chris has now left our marriage. There will never be another man. I will do whatever it takes to make this right with you. Anything, be careful what you say. I was not mistaken. You gave yourself completely to me. I took everything from you. But I only gave what I liked to do or what I thought you needed. I didn't realize that I was only hurting myself by not giving completely. But now I realize that I would be much happier giving myself completely to you just as you gave yourself to me. You can have me anytime, anywhere. And however you want. You always ask me what I want. Now I will ask you and hope that you will tell me your true desires. Chris thought about his answer as Lily added, I also know that I had sex with another man outside of marriage. That's a fact. And it doesn't matter that you brought me to him so as you showed your love for me. As my final act of repentance and expression of my devotion to you, I am giving you a permanent pass. I hope you never use it because it will cause me indescribable pain. But you are willing to bear the pain of me being with someone else. And if you decide to accept the pass, I will gladly endure the same pain. I can't believe anyone could replace you, my dear. I can only hope that your love for me remains strong enough for us to get through this Valentine's Day. Jack looked into her hopeful eyes. Damn it. Life isn't perfect. Lily matured in a fundamental sense this weekend. He and Lily were strong and could handle the truth. They did not have to live in the past but could live in the present. Lily took out the rings from her purse that she had taken off the day before. Will you put these rings back on my hand? Will you take me back? Jack placed the rings on the fourth finger of Lily's hand. Then cupping Lily's face still wet from her tears. In his hands he stood up, lifting Lily up with him. He kissed her softly on the lips and took her hand to lead her to the car and home to confirm their marriage. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.